Hi everyone, it's Tatiana the Slow Crafter. Today I have a bullet journal here, which is my planner for the year. And if you don't know what a bullet journal is, it's a journal with pages that have dots on them. And you can draw lines between the dots to form whatever it is you want to form. So in this case, I'm going to make a calendar for the month of February so that I can get my planning done for this month. And I thought it would be fun to use the Snowfront stamp set to decorate it. So the first thing I'm going to do is create my lines, which I've already done in pencil here, but I'm just going to go over them sorry, I picked up my ruler and it had a pen hanging off of it because it's magnetic. Things you just never expect are going to happen in a video. But anyway, okay, so I have my grid lines drawn for my calendar, but I'm just going to go over them, and I have a Micron 08, which is a little bit thicker of a fine line pen.
Through the fields of our paths, feelings power.
Okay, I have the lines drawn, and now I'm just going to write the numbers in.
Through the fields of our paths.
Okay, so that's done. Now I would like to bring this stamp set in, and I just thought that it was such a generic scene that it would be really easy to create a scene around my calendar. Okay, at this point I realized that it would probably be a better idea if I did a voiceover for the rest of the video, because the video is becoming quite long and nobody wants to see me stamp for half an hour. So what I'm showing you here is that I have that calendar stamp set that I got from kellyperkyshop.com, and I went to look for a link for it, but it appears that her store is closed right now. But if it does open up again, that's where I got it. She does have a lot of calendar stamps, and it's very useful if you're going to be creating a bullet journal and you don't feel like you really enjoy your handwriting that much that you want to be writing it out all the time. So I'm trying very hard to decide where to put February here, and this is a process that I go through a lot when I'm designing anything. I try every single option available to me and it drives me bonkers, but I finally decided that it looked best in the upper right corner. And what I'm saying here is that I decided that I wanted to use this stamp set in a way that the horizon line was probably about halfway across up the page, down the page. And I'm starting out with the piece of water. I guess it's a pond, or it could be a lake. In this case, I felt like it should be a frozen lake, and I used the darker color of gray, which I believe is basic gray. And I'm also showing you here that I'm using an Archer and Olive journal, which has very high quality paper, and that's one of the reasons I chose this journal, because you can watercolor, you can paint on these pages, you can see that the ink did not go through to the other side of the page. It's great if you want to be creating in a journal, if you want to be doing this type of thing. Stamping, it depends on the ink, but it can easily go through, let's say, a Moleskine type journal page. You'll see the ink on the other side very easily. Same thing with any type of marker, but with an Archer and Olive journal, the pages are just really thick and high quality. So I'm beginning the scene by using the little log cabin, and I'm just putting it, like I said, about halfway up the page. And then I decided that the trees would come next because they just seem like an obvious choice. And at this point I was wondering whether I wanted to use these stamps inside the parameters of the calendar or whether I just wanted to leave them outside. And I'm going to play it safe in this video because I've never done this before, and I didn't want to ruin it on the first try, because then I would just probably delete the video and never try this again. So I thought I'm just going to play it safe and stamp outside the box with the calendar in it. And I do like the result. Maybe in a future video for a future month I will attempt to stamp inside the box if I feel like it, but at this point I didn't. So now I'm using those trees that have lost their leaves, and I was thinking that proportionally they didn't look like I should be stamping them next to the other cluster of trees because they would have been giant. So I'm putting them in the foreground here. I may have overdone it a little bit, but it kind of looks like, it looks to me like you're sort of coming in from above those trees and seeing the scene from that angle. Okay, so next up we have the mountains, if I remember correctly. Yeah, those are the mountains, and the mountains I think are the easiest of these stamps to kind of fit in. Yeah, I'm stamping right over the trees, it doesn't even matter. I think I did start masking here because I didn't want it to hit the inside of that box, so I just put a piece of paper there and started stamping. But these mountains are really easy. It's like you just can't go wrong with them. You just stamp and stamp and stamp, and they look good anywhere. They layer over each other, and because they look so good, I just kept stamping them. And I wasn't unhappy with it. I was saying that it kind of looked like I was creating the Rocky Mountains here because the mountains were getting so high. But I was pretty happy with the result. I mean, they just kept layering very nicely, so I just kept going with them. Okay, and the next one I am choosing to use here is the little Snowdrift Stamp. I think that's what it's supposed to be. And I'm using the gray granite for this also. And this is another stamp that, once again, just seems to look good wherever you put it. So I just kept putting it places. I kept doing it over and over and over again. And you know, when you're trying to mask the fact that you're using a stamp over and over again, you can use the edge of the paper to make it look a little different. But in this case, where I'm just putting it all over the foreground, at some point it does become obvious. If you have a critical eye, you can see that I'm just using the same stamp again and again, and that's what I'm pointing out here. But I don't think that if somebody just sees this calendar overall, that's the first thing they're going to look at. Nobody's going to look at it and say, wow, she used that stamp 4 or 5 different times without like trying to make it look different. Like, nobody's going to say that. So anyway, that's just what I was talking about there. And now I'm using the little set of deer, and I was saying, you know, if I put the deer right next to the tree, that set of trees, the deers look humongous, so that doesn't work. And I can't really put them where my finger is there with those trees, and they look totally ridiculous on top of the mountain. You could put them by the house, but I mean, deer kind of shy away from humans, so I decided that right about there was going to be the best place for the deer, just away from everything else. And also that side of the page was beginning to look like it needed something else to balance it with the left-hand side of the page. So now we've got, I think that's the tiny little bird. There's a couple of tiny little birds, and I decided to make it a cardinal. So I'm using Poppy Parade, is that the name of the red? And I decided that birds generally seem to like to sit on the very top branch of a tree, so that's where the bird went. And the next one that I'm using is, let's see, which one is it? Oh, it's the snowman. So I decided that the snowman should go somewhat close to the log cabin, but it couldn't go right next to the log cabin because then it would look like a gigantic snowman. So I just put him there in the foreground, and honestly, if I had another color of gray, I probably would have used it because the snowman's really blending in there. You don't even really see it, but you know, this is all for fun, so who really cares? And then I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to use this stamp again to ground the deer, because the deer were just kind of there, and which is fine, but you know, maybe they wanted to drink, and I just felt like there needed to be some balance over there with the deer. And now I'm auditioning the rest of the stamps to see if there's anything else I would like to put. And I find this other little tree, and I realized that it's going to go in the bottom right hand corner, and you see what I mean? I don't know what it is. I can't settle. I have to that's why I had to speed this video up, because I just take forever to make my decisions, but then I generally am happy with them, so I guess I can't fault myself for that. So I like this tree so much that I stamped it numerous times. I probably stamped it 6 or 7 times here, and it's realistic looking, because often when you come upon trees, you don't see one of them or 2 of them, you see them in groups, large groups. So I just kept stamping happily here until I felt like I was done. I think I could have even stamped more there, but I didn't want to, you see what I'm showing you, I didn't want to get too close to the other set of treetops because it seemed out of proportion. This stamp set is very, very easy to use. I've made a card with it. It was just super easy to use. I've seen beautiful cards made with it, and that's why I knew that it would be really easy to use with this stamp set. Now I've got the Majestic Mountain stamp set, and that's a different one from the Snowfront stamp set. And the reason I'm using that one is because it has some clouds, and I felt like I wanted a sun or some clouds or something here. So I'm using this cloud stamp, and I like what I did with it in the beginning here. I auditioned it, and finally that's what made the cut right there, just above the mountains. And then I thought it would look good on the other side, and I think I should have stopped right there. But I got carried away, and I started stamping it again and again and again. And I'm not sure how realistic that looks over on the left-hand side. I think that's what I'm pointing at there. I'm saying, you know what, this side looks way better than the left-hand side. But I'm just going to go with it and pretend that it looks realistic and that nobody's actually going to look at that. So now I'm from that same Majestic Mountain stamp set, I think is the name of it. I've got these are birds. There's a little cluster of birds, and so I just placed some birds there. And what am I doing now? I've got another stamp on there. Oh, it's another tree. There's another tree in that other stamp set that I thought could look nice in this little cluster of trees, and that's it. Okay, well, I think I'm done. What do you think? Wasn't that an easy way to decorate my month? It looks much better than the last time I did it, that's for sure. I mean, the last time I decorated my month, like I said, usually I just draw the calendar, and then sometimes I'll put a box over here for important dates, which you could do. You could still put a box for important dates right here. But I kind of like that there's white space up there. And I didn't bother with January because it went by so quickly, I just didn't even have the time. But with a bullet journal, you have your future log generally before the rest of the year, where you set up your months like January, February, March, April, May, June. And your future log is where you put things like dentist appointments that you would probably otherwise forget about. You map all those in there, and then you and then you come back to them through the year. Well, actually what you do is you put your dates, your appointments in here, and then you from the future log, you then schedule them into the month as you create the month. Because a bullet journal, generally, it's good to not set up the whole year in advance, because you don't know how many pages you're going to use. So you put your important things in the future log, and then you input them into your months as you progress. So the next page I'll be doing would be the daily log. And so I'll have the days of the week in here, and I'm not sure if I'll film a video on that or whether I'll just go ahead and set it up. I just wanted to use these stamp sets because I just thought it was so cute. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and if you like it, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos using stamps in planners and journals and on cards, subscribe. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.